Good morning. I woke up this morning and it's on my heart to make another video about Measure 114. And shortly after the court decision in Portland, the local newspaper, the Discourager, had a headline: Measure 114 is declared constitutional. And I'm thinking the average person sees that headline and nods their head and says, "Oh, yes, the court has decided it's constitutional." And maybe that's all they know. Um, I want to simply do it simply and say how uh, what you're dealing with is this is a corrupt federal judge, and um, her decision is nothing short of than tyranny. And it reminds me a lot of the Roe versus Wade decision years ago. Um, there were never any right to an abortion in the Constitution, and the Supreme Court just made it up. And this is the same sort of thing. The controlling decision is the Heller decision, the U.S. Supreme Court Heller decision. And that decision says that the Second Amendment protects firearms that are in common use. That's it, very simple. And uh, AR-15s, which have large capacity magazines beyond 10 rounds, they are in common use. And a lot of other guns have magazines that are more than 10 rounds. So that's the law. That's what the Supreme Court says is the law. Well, this judge completely ignored the law. She ignored the Supreme Court decision, common use decision, and she just said, "Oh yeah, Measure 114 is just fine." And that is corruption. That the federal court judge is corrupt, and it's tyranny. And you know, when Measure 114 was passed, some of the local sheriffs said they were not going to enforce the law. So I don't know if any of them, not that I've seen yet, that any of the local sheriffs have said that they're not going to enforce Measure 114, but they certainly should. And I think citizens themselves, we ought to start thinking about having just like the pro-life people did for years and years, decades actually. They marched in protest of the Supreme Court decision. And here's my opinion of what's likely to happen. Yes, uh, it's going to be appealed. The federal court decision is going to be appealed to the Ninth Circuit. God knows how the Ninth Circuit is going to rule. The three-judge panel is going to rule. Um, However, they rule, it'll likely be appealed to the entire Ninth Circuit Court. All this takes time, lots of time. And over in Harney County, there's a good judge, Judge Ratio, over in Harney County. I'm sure that he's going to find Measure 114 violates the Oregon State Constitution. But the problem is that's going to be appealed to the State Appeals Court, and and most of these the appeals court judges are not conservatives. They're liberals appointed by the Oregon State governor. So I think what probably will happen is that the appeals court will overturn whatever Judge Ratio's decision is, and and the case will be tied up in federal district and federal the Ninth Circuit for years, How long will it take to get, how long will it take to get to the Supreme Court? I don't know. But in the meantime, probably at some point, Measure 114 is is going to be enforced. And I really think we need to start um, uh, uh, protesting decisions like the federal district court judges. You know, somebody that's better than me at organizing ought to. I mean, I would fully support uh, a march down Main Street, and I think there ought to be a lot of marches down the Main Street, a lot of Oregon towns. You know, just protesting uh, decisions like that. Anyhow, it's out. It's nothing short of corruption and tyranny, and it's tyranny by the left. They know darn well that that the Supreme Court decisions don't support this sort of stuff, and yet the state government attorneys push for this stuff, and liberal left-leaning judges like Judge Immergut endorse it, and it's really an attack on our freedoms. It's really an attack, and that's what it is. It's very simple. They're disobeying the law, and they're trying to take your rights away. There, I said it. Don't know if it'll do any good, but I feel better. Thanks.